to buy and go see myself a ghost, but I'm gonna be out there, but maybe.
What?
Hey, y'all doing? Welcome to Grab Dome of Mine.
Okay.
I immediately lost the plot of the bit. Immediately. I was like, I have a bit in mind. Based around the general topic of today.
Yeah.
Immediately lost it. Could not keep it together.
Fair.
Hello and welcome. My name is Fred Stewart and welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens. With me as always, almost always, it's my lovely
Except for
co-host.
that one time. Hi, it's me. It's Taylor.
What's up, dude?
What's up?
Get a donut.
I do have a donut. She apparently pulled that off.
Yes.
Because it wasn't connected. Because I'm super smart.
Well. Is that gonna be like your thing? Like everybody has their own little thing, you know? You're just like, it's like, is that your gang sign?
Yeah.
People don't know who their lefts and rights. Put your hands in the air. Let's go.
I'll figure it out one day.
You won't. Now, Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you not knowing your left and rights is absurd. So I have so much to talk about. It's insane.
Okay.
My work is haunted. That's cool. We'll start off with that, I guess.
Yeah.
Top of the show, I talk about how my work is haunted. Pretty cool. Everyone's experiencing supernatural phenomena. I'm gonna get down to the fucking bottom. I'm gonna find out what the hell is happening. Makes sense that it is a crematorium, so not that surprising.
No.
But
Hey, did you know digging at the floor will not make it softer?
she's gonna be asleep on it in like 2 seconds anyway. But yeah, and working on some really cool other ghosty stuff you guys will see coming up soon. And talking about I was talking to an individual today, and the other show that was part of this network is hopefully coming back very soon.
Oh.
And potentially another show.
Ooh.
So that's gonna be really cool. But that other show probably won't start until at least next year. But if everything goes as planned, The Doc, a comedy podcast, will be back very soon to the Comedy Chaos Network.
Oh.
Very cool. And behind the scenes, I am working on starting Beyond the Omens, which is the sideshow of Haunts, Graves, and Omens, where you can just hear me ramble and talk about ghosts and aliens ad nauseum without having to read from my usual scripts. And just basically the storytelling that we do on this show.
Yeah.
And more so actually dive into the topics where I'm able to nerd out. Like how you are with dogs and trains and stuff.
I don't nerd out on trains. I don't know anything about
Sharks.
Yeah.
See? And but I do that with ghosts.
Yeah.
And aliens.
Yeah.
And cryptids. That's my thing. Hence this. And this. That's why we do this.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do have some news stories at the top of the show. Just want to talk about real quick. All this comes from AP News. These guys, the AP News. Not to dive too far into inside baseball, but got some really interesting news stories. Police say police say a pair took an NYC subway train on a joyride and crashed it, and they've arrested one teen. Police have arrested a teen girl who they said took an empty New York City subway train on a brief joyride before crashing it and fled on foot. They were looking for a male companion they believe was also pictured inside the train. Surveillance photos released by the New York Police Department on Tuesday show one person dressed in all pink, including a pink shower cap, and another in a blue tank top. Police arrest a 17-year-old girl Wednesday around noon. They have charged her with criminal mischief and reckless endangerment. The pair boarded the unoccupied train parked at the Briarwood subway station in Queens just after midnight, September 12th, and somehow got it running. Police they said that they crashed it into another parked train and then fled on foot. It was unclear how much damage the prank call caused, but no injuries were reported. But
That's good. But there were no injuries.
Out of all the things to hijack,
A subway train is
probably it's not like a car. You know?
Yeah.
Car, you steer, you going on the sidewalk, kill a pedestrian. Subway, you might hurt some Ninja Turtles on the way. You know?
Maybe their goal was not to injure people.
You're saying their goal was to crash the subway train into a different subway train?
Maybe their goal was just to...
Are you saying this is a case of domestic terrorism, Tay?
What? No. When did I say that?
Now, Tay, when you're trying to hijack things, what is your goal?
I don't hijack anything. Except sometimes your jokes.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You mainly like Lee Harvey Oswald, my joke. You're like, I'm on the grassy knoll, ready to take my shot. Then you're up in the book depository being like, I'm going to be a hero. Guess what? You're not a hero.
Well, finish your jokes faster.
Okay, thanks, man.
If you don't want me to finish
If I gave you one of those baby sensory videos when I told you a joke, would you pay more attention? If Hot to Go was playing softly in the background with Subway Surfers to the left of me or the right of me, would you pay more attention?
You gotta have some form of chaperone and then the little dancing fruits. You know? Have you seen the dancing fruits?
You mean the bit that I just said?
But you said it was Subway Surfers. Nah, it's gotta be with the dancing fruits.
I literally said the sensory videos.
Yeah, I know. But you didn't combine that with chaperone, so you gotta combine them.
I don't like you Timothy McVeighing my jokes. Okay? All right?
Get used to it.
Okay?
Get used to it.
I'm not.
Do it.
You're not trying to strong arm me into letting you steal bits like that? It's not going to work. You cried because you didn't get barbecue sauce with your wings last night.
In my defense.
We're continuing. We're going to continue on with the rest of the podcast.
In my defense, they were chicken tenders and they were really dry. Okay, and I really wanted
In Denmark, a man is suspected of 86 counts of reckless driving that he filmed himself. Coming out of Copenhagen, Denmark, a 29-year-old man in Denmark is facing a whopping 86 preliminary charges Friday for driving at high speeds on motorcycles, riding on a rear wheel, also high speed, and endangering others, police said, adding that the man had a mounted camera on his motorcycle helmet, which provided investigators with several hours of footage of how he drove.
God.
I don't know how people from Denmark talk, so I don't think it's like I don't think it's like it's everything I don't know why I'm going Canadian. Well, no, it's not going to work. Basically, he just said, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. American Chaidez set of the police in Eastern Denmark said in a statement, there is no doubt that it has been a big and unconventional case for us to investigate. When detained in May for riding a motorcycle with no license plates and without a valid permit, police found a body camera which had been mounted on the man's helmet, which had recorded how he drove on the rear wheel of his motorcycle at high speeds. And I guess there's enough to charge him with 86 counts.
That's wild.
Which, I mean, listen. Crazy that they were able to get that footage. Get his Denmark different laws, everything.
Yeah.
But also, listen, we don't help criminals on this show, as any good true crime podcast should. It's not help give anybody some helpful advice. But if you're gonna do something illegal, don't fucking film it. What are you doing?
It's fair.
Like, I'm about to do something super illegal. Better film it for the TikTok. No, dude.
A lot of people do that.
That's like an Instagram reel thing. Do that over, you know, like do it over there.
No one watches Instagram reels. So, do you watch Instagram reels?
No. No, I don't. Instagram is just Facebook reels at that point. Nothing exciting happening on there. Well, something fucked up, you go to Twitter. That's where you go. Or you go to the privatized page on Instagram where it's like some like emergency like paramedic. And they're like, there's a dude has no eyes. And then it's like, click to see photo. And then I'm like, I wonder what's going to be behind this blurred photo.
Bonk.
That's a guy with no eyes. You know, it's
yeah.
I did that the other day. It was like, Kublai Khan released fucking Ant Pile 2, or Ant Hill 2, sick. And then it was like, that's cool. New album for this one band, that's cool. And then it was like blurred. And it was like, this is what happens when there's severe compression on the skull. The eyes tend to pop out. I'm like, oh, let's take a look. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh my god! Oh my god! That's what else they got on there? Savage paramedics. Enter. Let's look at more fucked up stuff.
And then my TikTok will like pop up with a live where it's like, this might be sensitive content, and then it's just Roblox.
It's all about. That's what the algorithm has decided for you. That's what it is. Like. Your algorithm is that, and then mine is horrific Ukrainian-Russian combat footage where you watch a man's like last moments of life before he's obliterated by some sort of large caliber weapon.
Yeah, no, I'll stick with my For You page.
Yeah. Mine's great. I love it. Now, you have any news stories?
Yeah, I've got one.
You got one? All right.
Let's one. So apparently a man in California was charged with killing 81 animals in a 3-hour shooting rampage. This man killed 81 animals, including miniature horses, goats, and chickens, and he pled not guilty.
Your Honor, to be fair, it's like half a horse. What a weird, like...
It was not like his farm.
Okay. Well, yeah, I kind of gathered that.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, also at the same time, like killing chickens, if it's for food or whatever, it's different. But like, who goes out of the way to shoot a miniature horse?
I don't know. This man, his name is Vicente Arroyo.
Mm-hmm.
He was arrested earlier in the week for using several weapons to shoot the animals being housed in pens and cages on the lot in the small community of Prunedale. He basically just went on this property and said, I'm going to kill a bunch of animals. He killed 14 goats, 9 chickens, 7 ducks, 5 rabbits, a guinea pig, and 33 parakeets and cockatiels. He's also charged with killing a pony named Lucky and then 2 miniature horses named Estrella and Princessa.
I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. It's all of that. A guinea pig. And then it's just like if you was just going crazy and you're just popping animals,
yeah.
You know? Like he's crazy popping animals. But that dude had the conscious thought to look at a guinea pig.
Yeah.
And just be like, you're dead. And like, just a guinea pig?
Yeah.
You gotta be you gotta be fucking crazy to shoot a guinea pig. Let alone shoot 83 animals.
33.
Also, in a 3-hour rampage, no one stopped him after the first 15 minutes.
No.
They're like, well, we still have 9/10 of a farm left.
I think people were trying to avoid this man.
Oh, really? Because he's going on a violent rampage and just killing everything that moves?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
33 birds.
33 birds is crazy.
It's wild to me.
And there's no way they're sitting still.
No. Definitely not.
don't give this man a gun, but if you do, take him to the carnival, man.
I thought you were going to say go take him bird hunting.
Well, no. Done that already.
Jesus Christ.
Did they establish a motive for this guy? No, so he just was like, he just Mr. Arroyo woke up that day, got out of bed, got off his futon, had a nice stretch, and said, I'm going to shoot 83 animals in 3 hours. For no reason.
Yeah. He had no...
Who the fuck shoots a guinea pig? Who shoots a... That's insane.
It's pretty fucked. I have a feeling he's going to be charged with all of, like, found...
Well, yeah, it's all going to be felony counts, because now, thankfully, the United States government, the crime of animal cruelty is now a felony. So that's 83 counts of felonies.
Yeah, he's pretty fucked.
He's pretty fucked. That's crazy.
Good.
Yeah, no, it's great. What a fucking asshole.
Like, that's fucking wild to me.
Like I said, it would be one thing if he was like, he shot just his chickens on his farm. Yeah. He was like, I'm going to eat these chickens. Or like, maybe they have like an avian flu or something like that. He was doing some like humane thing.
Yeah.
But he just went to some random dude's farm, random person's farm, and just started obliterating. Honestly, it sounds like a fucking petting zoo.
Yeah.
Bro went to a petting zoo and just started obliterating animals.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's pretty fucking crazy of a man to do.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
I literally was looking at that story I had scrolled past it to find the subway story. But that's wild.
It's pretty fucked.
I have no commentary for it other than just like, that's insane.
Yeah. No, it's genuinely like so fucking crazy.
This is gonna sound fucked up, but it's good that he took it out on animals versus children.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's awful that he shot 83 animals, but thankfully that, whether he didn't have access to it or whatever, decided to go there versus like a fucking school.
Yeah.
You know, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's bring this show back up, shall we?
Yeah.
You know, start off high, talking about crazy news. Taylor brought us down. It's time to bring us back up.
I'll bring it back down eventually.
Yes. This week, we travel to the birthplace of the blues and Elvis Presley, and where comeback sauce isn't just something that was on Kim Kardashian. Welcome to Mississippi for Mississippi's Most Haunted, Part 1. Now, Part 2 will come at a later date, but this will be like the first iteration of Mississippi's Most Haunted, because this Mississippi is so fucking haunted that I literally was like, I could only fit a couple stories in. And then I was like, I'm barely scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll like deep dive into the South. And maybe for HGO 150, we'll just deep dive into the South and talk about all the crazy things that happen.
Will we be in the South when we do it?
No.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I have a location in mind, but we'll talk about that off camera.
You guys don't get to know.
You'll know. You'll find out.
Not yet.
Now, Tay, are you ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
All right. Our first stop, we arrive in the town of Tulipo. Oh, my God. Tulipo. Jesus Christ. Tupelo. Jesus, man. Tupelo, Mississippi.
You're already mispronouncing names.
I'm fucking drunk. Now,
You had one drink.
on an empty stomach.
Oh, that's fair.
And it was like very high. Trying to play games and just like one eye open. Tupelo, Mississippi is the birthplace of none other than Elvis Presley. But we aren't here to talk about the king of rock and roll. Instead, we've arrived at a historic theater, Lyric Theater. Built in 1912, the Lyric Theater has had a long past. And in 1936, a devastating tornado ripped through the town of Tupelo, reaching a rating of an EF5 obliterating the small community with winds of upwards of 200 miles an hour.
Jesus.
It is one thing that you know, but you guys won't know, is that I'm a fucking nerd for meteorology.
It's TISM.
It probably, but I wanted to be a meteorologist growing up. It was like one of those things, and specifically around tornadoes.
Yeah.
So an EF5 tornado usually ranges. At least for now, it is the biggest tornado that can exist.
Yeah.
It can reach upwards of 1.5 miles wide. They're fucking huge. They're like, some tornadoes will come in, they'll rip the shingles off your house. Some will toss cars. This is literally, an EF5 tornado is literally a town destroyer. Anything that is in its path is dead, unless you have a storm cellar or something that's going to protect you against this, and even that's not a guaranteed. So this, like I said, in 1936, this EF5 tornado starts approaching the town of Tupelo. To make things even worse for the town, it strikes at 9 p.m. when most people are at home.
Jeez.
So not only is it a town killer, but it's in the fucking dark.
Oh, that's
and
not good.
In a low precipitation storm, and at least with modern tracking, you can kind of give a general idea of a warning to people and be like, hey, there's a tornado coming towards you. It's time to lock down. It's trying to button down the hatches and get you to a safe place. But it's the 30s.
Right.
They don't have that. The last thing a lot of people heard was just the sound of tornado sirens.
Yeah.
Before tragedy.
Crazy.
And those who could not make it to storm cellars or safe havens were killed by the debris. Trees, cars, and homes were either ripped and thrown from their places or completely flattened altogether. Flattened. I looked up photos of this specific outbreak because again, it's one of my things.
Yeah.
And it literally carves a scar in the earth where this thing went through.
So crazy.
Ripped the whole ground, concrete, everything.
Yeah.
Ripped it out of the ground. In the end, which was probably just mere minutes after the tornado struck and ripped through the town, over 216 people were dead and over 700 were injured.
Jesus.
They estimate that it was actually more than that. But at least for official countings, semi-official countings, it's 216 dead. But due to its construction, the Liberty Theater withstood the onslaught of the Tupelo outbreak. So after the tornado had passed over the town, the theater became a temporary hospital for the critically wounded and dying, many of which died within the aisles and the halls of the building, and some say the victims never left. The ghost that haunts the theater goes by the name Antony. Antony apparently likes to provide some self-entertainment by general poltergeist activity, moving items, making loud noises, and has often been heard humming something, possibly a familiar tune or favorite tune that they were humming just prior to their untimely demise.
Ooh.
Yes, very, very spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could do a whole thing about tornadoes, but let's continue, shall we?
We shall.
For our next location, we arrive to a bridge, both literal and spectral, located in Yazoo City, Mississippi.
I'm sorry.
Yazoo City.
Yazoo City?
Right up here, Yazoo. Right in the city. Satartia Bridge is known to locals and those testing their wills as a very eerie spot. Throughout the years, its waterfront location has been both a positive and negative effects on the small town. In the early 1800s, Sanatora was able to reap the benefits of being near the Yazoo River, as it was a busy shipping point, sending cotton to New Orleans. During the Civil War, the town's location meant that it would see lots of violence. There was over 24 ships sunk from the war inside the Yazoo River.
Oh, shit.
Crazy.
How big's that river?
Pretty big.
Oh, okay.
In 1976, a vertical lift bridge, which spanned the Yazoo River, was built in Sanatora. The bridge may not look like much. In fact, it gained notoriety for being one of the ugliest bridges in the country. But it is actually pretty significant because it's the only 3 vertical lift bridges in the state.
Oh.
So, it's kind of cool. It's a cool, like, engineering kind of thing.
Those are the ones that, like...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a cool little, like, it's just a really unique engineering marvel. Yes. But it's just ugly. Ugly bridge. I looked at it, and it's a fucking ugly bridge.
I want to see the bridge now. I'm going to look it up. What's it called?
The Sanatora Bridge.
I'm going to look it up.
Great.
You continue.
Aside from being a marvel of engineering, the bridge has become known for something else, the site of some pretty strange occurrences. In 2003, the paranormal investigative team, Unexplained, visited the bridge to do some supernatural research. The team headed to the bridge with Janice Rayleigh, a ghost hunter from Texas who visited the site years before. According to Rayleigh, she was originally directed to the site by a local farmer who was so fearful of the area he wouldn't accompany her. Describing the experience as, quote, truly terrifying, Rayleigh claimed to see a yellow-green bubbling water in the river below, which is accompanied by phantom moans, the smell of rotten flesh, an overwhelming sense of panic.
Oh.
Not dread.
Panic.
Panic. And the bridge is just below. It's just like, oh, fuck. Panic. Panic at the bridge.
I think that was a band.
You're thinking the disco.
No.
Almost immediately after arriving, the team began to experience some strange things. The tri-field meter, which is believed to detect the presence of spirits by monitoring changes in audible tones, instantly went off.
Oh.
According to investigators, it was chattering erratically and sounded completely different from anything else they've ever heard. Other equipment, including a camera and a microphone, began malfunctioning as soon as the team arrived. It's a huge, just full of electromagnetic energy, which we've experienced. You may not remember.
On a bridge?
No.
Oh.
What the fuck? No. The electromagnetic energy interfering with cameras.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you remember when we investigated the bar and I was like, oh, it was either the bar or it was the place up over here, which I'm being vague on purpose.
Yeah.
But there was the clothing store.
Yes.
And it was either one or the other where I saw an orb come out. No, it was it was a cemetery. That's what it was. It was a cemetery we went to. Saw an orb come out and it went into my camera. And my whole screen started flickering really weird. And I was like, what the fuck? And then we went back and watched the footage. And you can clearly see the orb twist, spiral into the camera. Yeah. And then you watch the feed. It fucked up the actual camera.
Yeah.
Just like that. So this place is chock full of electromagnetic energy. Which is really weird.
That is really weird. I don't know why my brain was like, when the fuck were we at a bridge? Like I was really confused. I was like, we've never investigated a bridge.
She's the smartest woman I know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who has investigated a bridge? Cass and Caitlin, Pacific Northwest Haunts and Homicides. Go check those gals out. What's the gals? Go. I'm kind of fucked up. Go check them out. They did a really cool episode about a haunted bridge out in Hillsboro.
Ooh.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very fun episode. But almost so members of Unexplained also claim to see something inexplicable, unexplicable sights that night. Jesus, man, my brain. Listen, I worked all day. I'm losing it.
I got you.
2 members of the team spotted flickering red lights mysteriously floating over the Yazoo River. Another team member claimed to see something strange, stating, "I saw a mist that was rather upright. It wasn't like a wide, broad area of mist or fog. It went across the path we came up, moving right to left, and then went into the corn." Into the corn.
Into the corn.
Corn. Yes.
Like the band?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Several weeks after the initial investigation, the investigators returned to the Yazoo River Bridge. Just like the first time, the team's equipment gave them trouble almost immediately. One piece was actually damaged beyond repair.
Oh, shit.
Which is very rare.
Yeah.
I've investigated places for the last... I was talking to a coworker about ghosts today because of the haunting that we're having at work.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I've been doing it for at least a decade. And then I was like, oh my God, it's almost been 2 decades. Almost 2 at this point, which is insane. And I personally have never had equipment become so damaged beyond repair, but I've had equipment malfunction so bad that I couldn't use it for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So, and that's not the first time I've heard of this exact phenomena.
Right.
And I'm almost wondering if is it like, I know you're still kind of new to the ghost field that I've just fucking pulled you into, but like, would you think that this would be because of like a high, like maybe the area, like for example, we were talking about the Civil War battlefield like Antietam, right?
Right.
Well, there's obviously a lot of spectral activity. I assume there's a high level of EMF, but do you think this is like just the EMF in this area is so high that it causes things to malfunction like this, or do you feel like it was like a condensed action taken against that piece of equipment?
Condensed action would be my guess.
I would have to agree. Something at this bridge doesn't want people there.
It's their bridge. I get it.
It is their bridge. And we'll dive even more into the story.
Ooh.
So the return trip wasn't a waste for the team, though. The investigators ended up capturing numerous orbs on film, which they believed to be a sign of paranormal activity. Varying so drastically in size and color and intensity, the collection of orbs was unlike anything the investigators have seen. I watched the footage. Obviously, it's owned by the TV show, the television show, so I urge you to go watch it. Fucking fascinating. Very weird stuff. I'm usually like kind of hit and miss when it comes to orbs.
Yeah.
Like some orbs, I'm like, that's dust, that's a bug. But then there's been some orbs that I've captured while investigating. Like, for example, we did the bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's dust, that's dust, that's dust. And then you see one where you're like, dust doesn't look like that on cameras.
That's not dust.
Like, like usually dust, is kind of a woven orb shape. But then we investigated that one bar, which I'm working on a documentary about it, so I'm being super vague about it. And it was like diamond shaped.
Yeah.
Could it be because the IR is picking it up in a unique way? Maybe. But it popping up in the same location, the same exact way, multiple times, doing similar phenomena. It was flashing.
Yeah.
Very strange. I don't know if it's a ghost. Certainly weird. But there are 2 theories regarding the source behind the supernatural occurrences at Santeria. Some attribute the haunting of the bridge in the river to the Yazoo Native Americans who initially inhabited the area. According to legend, members of the tribe marched into the river to their deaths after being defeated by the French. while others believe the former crew members of the boats sunk in the Yazoo River are forever waiting to join the fight just below the waves.
Ooh.
Maybe it's a mix of both. Maybe this whole area, I need to dive into that whole stretch.
Yeah.
To really get into the story. But we're just being specific this episode.
Yeah.
I imagine that I would be willing to bet that there's other occurrences further down the river that are similar in nature.
Probably.
It's got a haunted river.
I feel like it's the ships.
It could be the ships. It could be the Native Americans that marched, could have marched their deaths there.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But one thing I do know, pretty weird.
It's really weird.
It's pretty weird. For our next location, we arrive to the city of Vicksburg, to a place known as the most haunted place in the city, and apparently one of the most haunted places in Mississippi.
Oh.
This is the McRaven house, and it is fucking fascinating. Like, I love haunted places, especially historic haunted places that really lean into their hauntings.
Yeah.
You know, not so much in a gimmicky kind of sense where they're like, the ghosts here are always around, but more so of like, here's the historical factor that nerds love, me. Here's the hauntings that you weirdos like. Also me. Yeah. But it's the perfect blend of everything.
Yeah.
But this house has some really weird shit going on in it.
Ooh.
Like, it just has this weird vibe when you're looking at photos, but we'll get into that. So McRaven was first opened to the public in 1961. It had been featured in the National Geographic magazine, Life magazine, the Travel Channel, 48 Hours, and countless local magazine and books about hauntings. Popular for being built in 3 different periods, National Geographic called it the time capsule of the South.
Well, that's cool.
It's it's a very weird house. It's very strange. Each addition to the house, leaving the previous rooms completely untouched.
Oh.
So basically, but I'll get into that part. But house gets built.
Yeah.
Let's add another part. Completely abandon the other one.
Yeah.
Leaving it completely untouched. Not like, oh, well, I'll move my desk out of there. I'm talking completely untouched.
That's so weird.
Yes. Jesus, man. So the first portion of the house was built in 1797 when George Washington was still president, and before Mississippi even became a state. Highwayman Andrew Glass built a 2-room brick structure with a bedroom above a kitchen with a removable ladder to prevent an ambush while he slept. The blueberry and buttermilk pasture still adorn the walls. Mr. Glass would rob people traveling the Natchez Trace and hide out at McRaven. His surprising death became the start of McRaven's haunting, and he is said to still haunt his room some 200 years later.
Oh, shit.
Like over 200 years later.
Yeah.
But the room that he had built is exactly the way it was left after he died.
Oh.
Like, some places, like, for example, like Elvis's room. No one's allowed in Elvis's room, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly how it was when the king died. Right? But this is just a dude who was fucking robbing people.
Yeah.
But for some reason or another, it just left untouched.
Huh.
No one wants to go hands on with it, which makes it even weirder with our next tenant, who ends up owning the building.
Oh.
So the second portion of McRaven was built in 1836 by Sheriff Stephen Howard. He enclosed a patio, creating a stairway, and added a bedroom, a dining room, and a 2-story covered porch. Built in the Empire period, this portion of the house was simple but decorative. Sheriff Howard lost his young wife, Mary Elizabeth, after childbirth, and her spirit is the most active ghost in the house. Mary Elizabeth often greets guests and plays pranks. Some of her personal belongings are still in the house. So it is kind of weird that a sheriff ends up getting the area of McRaven Mansion, has the property that the highwayman Mr. Glass was on.
Yeah.
And then was like, nope, not even going to touch it. And just built shit around it. Built his entire house around it. And then he dies. And the third portion of the house was built in the Greek Revival style by John H. Bobb in 1849. He was a prominent brick manufacturer and sawmill owner. Mr. Bobb built an elegant parlor, master bedroom, men's changing area, a flying wing staircase, and a Greek Revival facade, which is later replaced by the Italianate facade with Vicksburg pillars. Like, it just tying it in the South, that kind of look, right?
Yeah.
Again, leaving the other portions untouched.
So weird.
It's super weird.
So were there different, like, styles?
Yes, it's three different styles, but it's all one house.
So weird.
It's super, super cool. If I ever go to the South, and which I plan to someday, to go on just a fucking ghost trip, only haunted places, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be one of my stops. They're calling it Mississippi's most haunted house, much like the Whaley House in San Diego. They call it like America's most haunted house. It's not, but it's a fun thought. Maybe San Diego's most haunted house for sure.
Yeah.
But this place is fucking weird. There's some weird shit, and later on, like after I get through this segment, I'm actually gonna play you some EVPs from that house.
Question.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever asked you. What do you think is America's most haunted house?
Ooh, that is a very good question.
And I'll make it... It doesn't have to still be standing, necessarily. For me, I feel like it's probably the Omens house.
The House of Thousand Demons?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good guess.
That would be my... probably most haunted house in America, but it's not standing anymore.
Maybe Gacy's house. Gacy's house would definitely be up there.
Yeah?
I mean, it's not still standing now. Now a home is built on top of Gacy's home, or it was the foundation. I mean, who knows?
As home's still standing? What do you think?
That's a tough question.
It's a hard question.
Yeah,
I never thought about it.
Never thought about it. What would be the most haunted house? I mean, the Amityville house is pretty good, but I feel I don't know, man.
Amity is one of those where I'm like, did it actually all happen?
Yeah, listen, don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me fired up about that.
I think we have an episode on Amity out there where you do get fired up about it.
Don't get me fired up. I'm gonna get fired up about it. Let me think about it.
Okay.
We'll come back.
Okay.
So, talking about John Bobb, right? He himself is said to haunt the residents after a terrible act. On May 18th, 1864, after Vicksburg had fallen to the Union forces during the Civil War, John Bobb had noticed a group of 6 drunken Union occupation soldiers picking flowers from his garden.
Oh.
Outraged, Bobb promptly ordered them to effectively fuck off. The soldiers cursed at him. He cursed back. They argued. Eventually, the soldiers left. Right?
Yeah.
So, John picked up a brick and threw it at them, knocking the sergeant to the ground as they were leaving. Basically like, don't pick my flowers, you piece of shit. Fucking throws a brick, hits their sergeant. Sergeant goes down, gets back up, and he's like, I'll be back, motherfucker. They leave. Right? Bobb then reported the incident to the federal commander of Vicksburg, General Henry W. Slocum, who dismissively said he would admonish those responsible, basically punish those responsible.
Yeah.
It's like, they're fucking drunk. I'll deal with them later. Like, it's my bad, man.
Yeah.
So Bob's like frustrated. He's like, fucking, they destroyed my fucking garden that I worked on.
Yeah.
So he huffs and puffs. He walks back home. And as he returns home to the gates of his home, Bobb is met by 25 Union troops who took him to Stout's Bayou, about 100 yards from his house, and fatally shot him in the back and face.
Jesus.
Kills him. Cold blood. Bob's death was the first recorded act of violence perpetrated by Union troops after the siege. The first. There's others. I could go on about those.
Yeah.
War is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
But these guys, everybody was horrible. But they fucking killed the guy over flowers. Over flowers.
That's wild.
I mean, he threw a brick at him, but they're fucking up his shit. Fucking up his house.
Yeah.
I would do the same shit. You're fucking up my house, I'm gonna throw a fucking brick at you.
Where are you gonna get a brick?
I got a pallet of bricks.
We don't have bricks.
I ordered a pallet of throwing bricks on Amazon.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense.
But some say that John Bob never left. John is often seen strolling along his balcony, possibly reliving his final moments of life before he was gunned down by Union forces. And as promised, for our final piece of the McRaven house, I have some really cool EVP stuff.
Ooh.
Provided by the Smoke and Mirrors paranormal team while conducting an investigation inside the residence. The voice of a woman can be heard saying, "That's a funny old clock." Possibly the spirit of the now deceased Mary Elizabeth, the wife of the sheriff.
Ooh.
Yes, ooh is right. It's very fun, and hopefully this picks up perfectly fine. But I'm sure it'll be fine. Let's see. That is a crisp and clear EVP.
That's so clear.
Fucking crystal clear.
You could
That's
tell
a
me
funny
that
old clock.
You could tell me that was just a lady like with them talking.
Yes. And there's footage that corresponds to them, but they're panning across the room.
Yeah.
But you just hear, "That's a funny old clock."
That's so
It's
weird.
fucking awesome. It's awesome, dude. It's such cool EVP footage. Or audio.
Yeah.
That's super cool. My favorite piece of EVP footage I've ever captured was because of you, coincidentally enough. But you weren't even next to me when it happened.
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking about that.
We were investigating a haunted cemetery, which seems,
Fitting.
redundant.
Right.
But we're investigating a historic cemetery out in Washington, and it's middle of the night. It's pitch black. Obviously, I can't see anything. And we're in a group, and we're trying to conduct EVP sessions. And I'm filming the group, seeing if I can capture anything. And then I just said "Oh, where'd Taylor go?" And you had gone down to go look for a name that had come through a spirit box, right?
Yeah.
Earlier in the night. So you're walking down the line of these people that have been buried, trying to find this name. And when I play back the footage, I go, "Oh, where did Taylor go?" And you hear this voice, crystal clear, go, "With me." And it was oh, dude, it's awesome.
It's just so fucking weird to me.
Meanwhile, you're like, "Where is this person?"
Huh? Huh?
She needs some help. No,
we're gonna help her find them.
Sweetheart. No, this way, sweetheart, this way.
Yeah. I don't think I found the name.
No.
I think I was looking for it, but I was lost.
Mm-hmm. Much like many of these spirits, lost.
I'm always lost. Don't ask me where I am, ever.
It's fair. And for our final location, which I know we're roughly 40 minutes in, which seems kind of surprising. We've only covered a few locations.
This is a long one.
This is a long one.
Ooh.
So usually, like I said, inside baseball, because like I've stated before in the podcast, you guys listen, you guys watch, stuff like that. But I want this to I don't want this to be me just telling you a story and it's very spooky. This is me nerding out to you. If you guys are my friends, because you are my friends. And so, and you're a captive audience. I'm just going to hold on to you. I'm just like Taylor. I just hold on to you and go, "Let me tell you about ghosts. Let me tell you about ghosts." And then she's like, "Okay." But after that, I'm telling you about hammerhead sharks. And we're going to be doing, like I said, a whole nother episode later on, again, about Mississippi's Most Haunted.
Ooh.
Barely breaking like the ice on this whole story.
Oh.
But this is going to be the big bulk of the episode. But let's talk about ghosts, murder, and goats.
Goats?
Welcome to the Goat Castle.
Oh.
Yes. Very weird, right?
All right.
Located in the southern city of Natchez, Mississippi, is a charming subdivision of elegant homes called Glenwood. It's a quiet neighborhood nestled close to the antebellum home called Glen Burnie, the only remaining structure from a time now since past. Years ago, Glen Burnie was separated from the land where the subdivision now stands by the same thick stand of forest that darkens the nearby landscape. It is in these woods where legends say the spirits of the past still linger.
Oh.
And I want to give credit when credit's due. Talk a little bit behind. I totally got distracted, but like I said, Inside Baseball. When I'm researching these places, there's like awesome websites, kind of a chain of websites of like Mississippi haunted homes, California haunted homes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those guys are awesome. But this comes from AmericanHauntingsinc.com/goat. Just want to read all of this again, but it's fantastic. Great read, but I'm going to read it to you. So get your fucking, I don't know, dude, like get a nice cup of whiskey.
I'm good.
Get a nice hot jockey. And settle in.
Can I have a apple cider?
No.
Oh.
So, more than 5 decades ago now, the land now occupied by the Need homes of the Glenwood subdivision was the location of a plantation house from which the neighborhood now takes its name. I'm going to fix my camera real quick. The main house was surrounded by outbuildings and a sprawling piece of land, and as time passed, the bloody events unfolded. It was no longer called Glenwood, but known as Goat Castle instead.
Oh.
The murderous events that took place here were tinged with insanity, terror, eccentric wealth, and wretched squalor. These dark happenings of the past have created the legend at Goat Castle that still lingers to this day. I know I keep like edging everybody, but when I was researching this, I was like, oh, okay, another haunted, movie theater, another haunted bar, classics,
Yeah.
the classics that we know and love. And then I started reading this and I was like, what the fuck? It's weird. Not very often do we talk about murder and ghosts so congruently. And goats.
I don't think we've ever.
Like murder, animals, and ghosts, other than like the serial killer orangutan. Kind of close, but it's weird. So Jane Surratt Murrell and Duncan Minor were only children living in Natchez when Reverend Dana came into town in 1866. He came to minister to the Trinity Episcopal Church, having just completed a long position as the rector of the Christ Church in Alexandria, Virginia. Such a distinguished appointment allowed him to enter Natchez society as a celebrated member, and when his son Richard was born in 1871, he too was accepted into the most elite company in the city.
Oh.
This is the time where religion is king.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like, he talks to God. Make him king,
God is the homeless man down the street at the bus stop.
I'm God.
He talks to God.
I know a lot of cult leaders who think they're God. Now, I'll name a few. So, his father had died 2 years later, and Dick was raised comfortably by his mother. And when she passed away in 1885, Dick attended Vanderbilt and returned home to become the master of Glenwood. His dream was to become a concert pianist, as he had always shown a great musical talent. As a young man, Dick became friends with Jane, or Jenny, as she preferred to be called, and Duncan. Jenny Murrell had been born in 1864 and was a beautiful young woman. She was raised by her wealthy father and enjoyed all of the conveniences that money could offer. like toilet paper and not
once a week showers.
Once a week showers and not dying of some horrific plague. As it was 1864, and your life expectancy was probably like 45. She was also well-liked in Natchez, despite the fact that her father had been a staunch supporter of the Union during the Civil War. He befriended General Ulysses S. Grant, and thanks to this, was able to preserve his vast holdings during the war. When Grant became president, he appointed Merle to the position of minister to Belgium. Jenny accompanied her father to Europe and mingled with both aristocrats and royalty, including Queen Victoria. Which is crazy.
That is crazy.
When Jenny's father became ill, he resigned his ministry, and the family returned to Natchez. Duncan Minor was born in 1862. Like Jenny, who was his cousin, he was raised by a wealthy family that somehow also escaped the ravages of war. He and Jenny were childhood friends, whose romance was rekindled after Jenny returned home from Europe.
Didn't you say they were cousins?
Yes.
Great.
That is correct. It's Mississippi.
Well, I thought you were going to say it was a certain time.
It's literally Mississippi.
Listen.
You're surprised?
I can't say I'm surprised. Just disappointed.
It's... I don't know why you're even like this. It's Mississippi.
Listen, it took me a second to realize, and I was like, hold on a minute. We held on a minute. Continue on.
This next sentence has made me laugh the first time I read it, and I'm gonna laugh again. Romance came quick for Dick in the form of a young woman named Octavia Dockery.
Romance came quick, huh?
Romance came quick for Dick for the doc.
Whoa.
Loving the Dockery. You good down there?
No, I think she might try to come up here.
All right. She had been born in Arkansas in 1865, the Lettertine Plantation, but like many other Southern families, the Dockerys had suffered greatly as a result of the Civil War. In 1877, Octavia's father moved his entire family to New York, where he had did quite well in business. Octavia attended the fashionable Comstock School for Young Ladies and remained in New York until her death of her mother in the 1880s. Shortly after, her older sister named Nadia married a Mississippi planter, and she accompanied the couple to Natchez, where they entered the city's society. You know, mingling, going to soirees, being, I don't know, kissing cousins, whatever they did. I'm just assuming.
That's what we call Spirit and Tuesday.
Kissing cousins?
Yeah, because they give each other a lot of kisses directly in each other's faces.
I didn't realize you're from Mississippi. For reasons unknown, the friendship between the four golden members of the Natchez Society fell apart. The two couples were never seen together again. It also remains a mystery as to when the marriage plans dissolved between Jenny and Duncan, because they were going to get fucking married.
Yeah, that tracks.
Because
For the time,
and it's Mississippi. The stories say that the wedding was forbidden to them by Duncan's mother, who would not approve of the two cousins getting married, but no one knows for sure. Honestly, I don't think that's the reason why they didn't want to get married.
I don't think they realized.
You're only my second cousin.
I only marry my first cousin and closer.
What do you mean closer? What does closer mean? What is closer than a
sibling?
Okay, that's not a cousin. That's a sibling. There's my brother cousin.
You get to a certain point where your family tree becomes a circle, so it really doesn't matter.
That's a documentary on that.
Yeah.
You can find it. It's not great.
No.
After the death of her father in 1883, Jenny was left with a great inheritance. Her family home, called Elms Court, was burdened with a heavy mortgage, however, and for some reason, Jenny neglected to make the payments. The house was seized by the bank, even though Jenny had enough money to pay off the debt. She left Elms Court for an extended period, lived at Glenwood with Dick. For years afterward, she moved from the house in Natchez before buying Glen Burnie in 1904.
Okay.
Getting a lot into the history stuff, kind of building the story.
I got you.
Octavia and her now widowed sister were already living in the reduced circumstances when Nadia died in 1893. Before she died, Nadia made arrangements with Dick for Octavia to reside at Glenwood and have some wondering if perhaps the visits by the two women may have overlapped. Could they have argued, leading to the destruction of their friendship? Whatever occurred, Jenny soon moved to Glen Burnie, but Octavia remained at Glenwood for the rest of her life.
Well.
Soon after taking up residence in her new home, Jenny became increasingly odd. Odder than trying to fuck your cousin, which in the South is a standard. Soon, she developed a taste for seclusion and isolation, and her doors were closed to everyone but Duncan, her cousin.
Yeah.
I bet her fucking doors are closed to everyone but her cousin. You know what I'm saying, dude? Up top. South, it's gross. Now, they wonder why we make fun of them. But then there's stories like this.
Yeah.
And it gets worse.
Oh boy.
Each night at dusk, he would ride to Glen Burnie and stay with Jenny until dawn.
I wonder what they were doing.
Probably just fooling her out. Just fooling around.
You could say that.
She showed me her ankle.
Then we got really risque. And she showed me her shoulder, so.
Oh. Whore! You cheap wealthy hussy showing your shoulders. The 1800s, how dare you? Jokes to write themselves. He would ride back to his home, have breakfast with his mother, who objected his marrying, Jenny. Some believe the couple had secretly married anyway, but there remains no record of it, obviously. In time, Duncan began to share Jenny's eccentricities. He became very withdrawn as he grew older, speaking to no one, and apparently satisfied with the life that Jenny had chosen for him. As for Jenny, she became odder still, as well as a very domineering and aggressive. She would force her way to the front of the waiting lines and refuse to yield the right of way when driving her carriage and later her Packard automobile. She was like, fuck you guys, I'm first. Yeah, I'm rich and I'm first. I'm going.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So a few hundred yards away from Glen Burnie was Glenwood, where Dick and Octavia lived. A tragic accident had brought about a premature end to Dick's promising career as a concert pianist. One day, a window sash fell on his fingers, causing permanent injury.
Jesus.
Most tame accident in the 1800s.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
still,
completely destroys his dreams. Hands are destroyed.
Yeah.
So it was now impossible for him to play without missing certain notes. This did not prevent him from playing often. He often sat at the piano until late at night, tinkering endlessly with melancholy melodies that never sounded quite right. Like Duncan and Jenny, Dick also began to become quite strange. He began to fall into states of depression that would last for days at a time, which I feel like isn't that strange.
No, I mean, he had his fingers crushed.
Your fucking hopes and dreams are gone.
Yeah. I get it.
Not being able to do the thing that you love.
I get it.
It's like someone told me, can never talk about ghosts ever again.
It'd be pretty upsetting.
Yeah. Then I would go crazy. I'd go crazier. His hair and beard began to grow long and tangled as he wandered the woods for hours as Octavia stood by and watched helplessly. He was often the victim of practical jokes by young local boys, and one story recalls how they pursued him through the woods until he finally climbed a tall tree to escape. Octavia had to chase them away and spent more than an hour trying to coax him down. But another prank frightened Dick onto the roof of an outbuilding where he crouched in terror for several days.
Jeez.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's going through it.
He really is.
And people were just picking on him just to pick on him.
For no reason.
For no reason. So the farm at Glenwood began to fall apart, and with no income, Dick's inheritance ran out. The house itself crumbled into a state of disrepair. The herd of goats that had been purchased for their milk soon began to wander in and out of the mansion, joined by the chickens and other farm animals. They're just coming to hang out.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun if it's like a children's book. Like all the goats and the chickens coming in, they're dancing, guys playing the piano.
I assume that this does not end like a children's book does.
Not a good one, at least. So the herd of goats that had been... Oh, sorry, I already said all that. A heavy layer of dust coated everything at Glenwood, and the birds nestled in chairs and on the furniture that had not been stripped and devoured by the goats. Curtains and drapes hung in shreds, and priceless books became water-stained and ruined. Only Dick's piano managed to remain untouched by the devastation. Years pass, and the two houses continued to exist, both near and far away from one another. Glenwood continued to deteriorate, while Glen Burnie became a house of secrets. In an age of electric lights and automobiles, the owners of both mansions shunned electricity and the coming of a modern era. In 1917, Jenny became disgusted with the ruins of Glenwood. She prodded Duncan into buying the property, which is now burdened with delinquent taxes, so that she could evict her former friends, kick them out of their own fucking house that they're barely surviving in.
That's wild.
Evicted to bitch, you know? But she could not count on Octavia being clever enough to declare Dick mentally incompetent and had herself appointed as his guardian. This was all that managed to keep Glenwood's leaky roof over their heads, as an insane person could not be deprived of his home because of tax debts. One can imagine that it didn't take much for authorities to find Dick mentally ill by that time.
Yeah.
You look back at kind of near that time, start looking at like, this kind of insanity, like let's say like what's the word I'm looking for? Insane asylums.
Yeah.
Like reasons to be instituted in insane asylums.
Yeah.
Depression's on there.
Now, with our mentally ill, we just put them on the street.
Yes.
Instead of making sure that they have housing. They like back then they're like, you can't deprive someone.
You can't
of their home.
Can't do it. But now we just throw them on the street.
Now we're just like, get the fuck out there.
Pretty sure it's because of Reagan. Pretty sure it's President Reagan that caused that. Can't remember. Pretty sure it is. Anyway, everything's going great, right?
Everything's doing really, really good.
Everything's going great for everybody. Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
These guys are fucking crazy, and they're living in their house, and they're not talking to one, and they're driving like assholes. This dude's depressed, and his wife is doing the best that she can to try to keep her husband together in their home that's falling apart around them with animals all over the place.
Yeah.
Which I imagine was pretty fun for the first couple days, you know?
Yeah.
Like they wake up and there's just a goat in their bed. And they're like, that's kind of fun.
And then like day 3,
then like
67 comes by.
Well, it's saying like year 2 comes by, and you're like, God fucking damn it! How do the goats eat the ceiling? Like the fuck?
Just come in like just like 3 a.m. and a goat comes in, just.
All right, I'll get up. So, an accident occurs.
Oh no.
Which would be considered minor by most, but which had a bizarre impact on Dick Dana's fragile sanity. On afternoon, Jenny shot and killed one of Dick's goats. The animal had been making regular forays into Jenny's yard and eating her rose bushes. Dick pressed charges against her, and the case actually went to trial.
Oh.
Yes. The charges against Jenny were dropped, much to Dick's dismay, and the entire town learned of the squalid conditions at Glenwood. They began to call the place Goat Castle for obvious reasons.
It's a goat castle.
It is a goat castle. Some believe that Dick swore revenge on the woman who had been one of his closest, at once time been one of his closest friends. The incident had been largely forgotten by 1932. Duncan continued to ride out to the house each night, even though his mother had died years before. Each morning he rode back into town, avoiding an automobile in favor of his horse. On August 4th, as he was approaching the drive leading to Glen Burnie, he had a premonition that something was wrong. When he arrived at the house, a horrific scene awaited him.
Oh boy.
The front room was in shambles. Broken glass and overturned furniture covered the floors. Blood was splattered on the walls, and a thick trail of gore led out of the house into the driveway. After searching the house and the grounds and finding nothing, Duncan summoned the sheriff. A posse spent the night combing the woods around the house, and near dawn, someone discovered Jenny's body hidden behind some of the bushes. She was barefoot and wore a blood-stained blue dress. She had been shot several times in the chest and the head by a .32 caliber weapon.
I wonder who it could have been.
Oh, dude. You have no idea. Got no idea.
I have a guess.
You hold on to that guess, because it's going to be... I don't want to spoil it, but it's great. So, the authorities immediately suspected Dick and Octavia for the murder, believing that perhaps the incident with the goat and Dick's mental instability may have combined his motive, right?
Yeah.
So, Octavia was questioned, but eventually released. Dick was held, however, because a deformed and bloody handprint was found in Janine's living room. It could not be proven, but it was thought to be the print of the hand that Dick had injured, years before.
Yeah.
Newspapers all over the country carried the murder story. Thanks to a prominence in the eccentricity of the principals, the nation was shocked by the first real glimpse into the conditions at Glenwood. Numerous photographs portrayed the poverty of the plantation's inhabitants and revealed a once grand home that had turned into a veritable barn where farm animals roamed freely. Right?
Yeah.
So the mansion had fallen into shambles. A column that had once supported a veranda across the front of the house had collapsed, and now the ceiling sagged dramatically.
Oh.
This house is fucking dilapidated. Bad.
Yeah.
Broken windows looked out at the lawn like blackened eyes, and holes dotted the porch where the wood had rotted through.
Jesus.
Giving you a good visual look when we say, like, it's been years this shit's been happening.
Yeah.
And it only gets worse. Inside, the house hung with dust and cobwebs. Sections of peeling paper dangled from the walls. Chickens and geese nestled in the velvet and rosewood furniture. The upholstery was alive with fleas and mites, while cockroaches and water bugs skittered across the floor.
Ugh.
Animal droppings coated the floorboards, and filth shrouded expensive antiques that had belonged to Jefferson Davis and Robert E. Lee. Historical artifacts.
Yeah.
just covered in shit by animals. Dick and Octavia slept on a water-stained mattress that had been stretched between wooden chairs, and always present were the home's namesakes, the goats.
Yeah.
The animals wandered freely, munching carelessly on the books and the drapes and anything they can get their fun little horns and mouths on. If they could reach it, they were chewing on it.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Everything.
goats.
That's goats. Horrified and fascinated, tourists and curiosity seekers flocked to Natchez.
Yeah.
Because of course they did.
Yeah, trash.
While Dick and Octavia were still in jail, souvenir hunters picked through the rubbish at Glenwood and carried off relics and antiques. Public sympathy arose for the bizarre pair, and after Octavia was released, an unbiased jury could not be found to hear the case against Dick. Luckily, the case was dropped when the police chief of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, notified authorities in Natchez about a man who had been shot down in his city. George Pearls had been killed after pulling a .32 caliber weapon on a Pine Bluff policeman. Papers found on Pearls' body indicated that he had recently been to Natchez.
Oh, dun dun.
As Janine Merrill had been killed with a .32 caliber weapon, the chief offered an examination of the weapon.
Oh.
The papers would lead detectives to Emily Burns, who owned a boarding house in Natchez. After being questioned, she admitted that she and Pearls had attempted to rob Glen Burnie.
Oh.
Don't yawn.
Try not to.
You thought it was Dick and Octavia.
No, I thought it was one of the goats.
Okay. Incredibly valid.
The goats were pissed. I don't know.
Anyway, they attempt to rob, Jenny and Glen Burnie. They were confronted there by Jenny, who attempted to take the gun away from Pearls. In the struggle, Jenny was shot.
Oh.
A ballistics test confirmed most of the story, or at least the part that had Jenny being killed by the gun found on Pearls. In addition, Pearls' fingerprints were also found at the crime scene. He also had a deformed hand that matched the bloody handprint found in the living room. At that point, the case was closed and charges against Dick were dropped. But, of course, more of the story that meets the eye, there were so many who questioned the veracity of Emily Burns' story that it still wondered what role the residents of Glenwood had played in Jenny's death. Some of those who wondered must have been in positions of authority, for the governor of Mississippi pardoned Emily Burns for her role in the crime in 1940. They fucking pardoned her even though she was complicit in a murder.
Yeah.
Robbery gone wrong, turned murder. As for Dick and Octavia, they achieved fame overnight. People continued to come all over the country to see Goat Castle, and so, like a carnival sideshow, Octavia began distributing leaflets and conducting tours of the house and property, charging 50 cents per person. Octavia crept about the property, carrying a goat in her arms, spinning tales of the plantation's heyday. Which I just love the fact that she was telling a story and that she's just carrying a goat. And she's like, this is where the goats used to live. Like this guy. Anyway, and then they just continued.
My question is, what kind of goat? Because, some of those fuckers are beefy.
I hope it's like a little guy. It'd be more impressive if it's like a big-ass goat. She's carrying like a fucking 180-pound goat.
She's just carrying him like this.
So yeah, this is where we sleep. Usually I put him down, but I put him down until he starts screaming.
Versus yeah, a cute little goat would be cute. But it'd be really funny if it was just a
gigantic
big,
one.
Beefy goat.
Yeah. So she would walk around and she would do this tour of the plantation and talk about its heyday, would carry the goat, and then Dick provided accompaniment for the tours by playing off-kilter classical music on his piano.
Oh.
Which is pretty wholesome.
Yeah.
In the end, because
he still got to
he still got it.
He still got to play.
I'm sure. Listen, even if he couldn't play everything perfectly, I would still be like, this is fucking awesome.
I would guarantee he could play the piano better than I could.
Fucking me too, dude.
You could play the piano better than I could?
No, I'm saying, well, probably, but
I never took piano
with your
lessons.
left hand, play this key. And you're like,
Hold on.
So each day at dusk, when the last horse had departed, Dick would return to the piano and play strange melodies that grew louder as the night wore on. The nocturnal music was explosive and powerful, and some would remark that it was loud enough to wake the dead.
Oh.
And perhaps it did, because after nightfall, people in the area began to avoid the thicket of the woods between Glenburnie and Glenwood. It was believed that the area was haunted by Jenny Merrill's ghost, still seeking vengeance for her murder. Numerous reports of her apparition stated that she was seen barefoot, wearing a bloody blue dress and darting among the trees. Sometimes her moans and wails can be heard above the sounds of Dick's disturbing music. It was said that his piano grew louder as he tried to drown out the sounds of his former friend's mournful cries.
Oh.
Dick and Octavia outlived Duncan, who passed away in 1940. The small amount of money earned by the Goat Castle tour sustained the owners for Glenwood for the next 16 years.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
That's actually pretty good.
It's incredible. Finally, in 1948, Dick died from pneumonia and heart disease, leaving Octavia to care for Glenwood alone. She followed her lover to the grave a few months later, dying in 1949. The few belongings they had left were auctioned off, and in 1950, Glenwood was torn down. After Dick and Octavia had died, the sinister tales of the haunted woods intensified. The empty and overgrown plantation fell into even greater decay, and those who trespassed there often claimed to see the ghost of Octavia wandering about the place. She was sometimes described as wearing a calico dress and a straw hat, and other times as a young beauty in a fine Paris gown. The ghostly sightings were sometimes followed by the strains of piano music, clumsy notes like being played by a crippled hand.
Oh.
As time passed, the stories of the ghosts died, and the legends did too. But Goat Castle is all but not forgotten. The tales of Jenny's spirit persist, however, and in the 1980s, the owner of Glenburnie reported hearing a disembodied voice call to her repeatedly. She also told of unseen hands that would continuously undid electrical work that was being performed during the restoration of the house. Some believe that perhaps Jenny's aversion to electricity and modern life manifested itself from beyond the grave.
Oh. That was a pretty cool story.
It's a fucking crazy story.
Yeah.
It's full of twists and turns, and it's super fun.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh, it's totally him that did it. But it wasn't.
Nah.
And it has ghosts. It's got murder.
It's got goats.
It's got goats. It's got weird deep south incest, which is the South. And
It's got the South.
But yes, Mississippi, we did it. That was it
We did it.
for now.
Oh.
But we'll be back
Oh.
soonish. But my plan is to knock out all of the states first, and then we're going to come back around. Talk about them again. Keep it fresh up in here.
Yeah.
But I feel like the next, well, I feel like I know the next most haunted episode that we do, States Most Haunted, is also going to be in the South. But we'll wait and see on that.
I forgot every southern state.
Name a southern state on the Mississippi.
On the Mississippi?
Other than the Mississippi. Other than Mississippi.
I don't know my states on the Mississippi.
Doesn't have to be on the Mississippi.
You said on the Mississippi.
So just name another state in the South.
In the South, Alabama. We've covered Alabama.
It's crazy. It took you that long.
Well, no, you said on the Mississippi, and I was
said
like,
other than Mississippi.
no, you said on the Mississippi.
I'm gonna play the footage back.
I know what I heard.
Yeah, but you don't know your fucking rights from your left, so I highly doubt you got that right. And that's this one, by the way. Now, the...
What, the left?
That's why you don't do politics. You're like, I don't know what it means. What is the right? What is the left? I keep holding it in my hands. People just keep making fun of me. Yeah. Well, Tay, did you have fun with Mississippi's Most Haunted?
Yeah.
I did too. And if you did too, be sure to raise 5 stars listening apps. Like, share, subscribe. You know the business. The biz. Mm-hmm. Be sure to follow us on the socials, HGOPodcast on Instagram, TikTok, Haunts, Graves, and Omens on Facebook. Want to follow me directly, you can at iHuntHaunted on Instagram. I don't post super often. You should just run all the other socials, but I'm going to be posting again because I'm getting back into streaming. I'm going to be streaming once a week. So probably going to do like, I don't know, Wednesday or something like that. We're going to do spooky stuff. So go check that out. Cool. And I'll pass it off to Tay.
Hi, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Lunar Thrill. That's all I got. I ain't really out there. You can also follow our dog, who's dead asleep right now. Otherwise, I'd wake her up. At Spirit the Turv on Instagram. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I got.
Well, glad we all had fun.
Spirit had the most fun.
She's been asleep for most of it.
She likes when you read stories to her.
But remember to stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And don't let goats eat your house. I don't know. I don't know how to end it.
Or do.
Or do.
See what happens.
Yeah. Bye-bye.